So, hello everyone. I'm joined here by Arturo García-Alonso, who is Chief Operating Officer at Avports. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see you.
Firstly, my question for you is, Avports operates 10 airports in the US.
That's correct.
How are the recovery of these airports actually going?
It depends on the airport. Most of them, they have a very good recovery rate, especially through the summer. Some of them are really actually over pre-pandemic numbers, which is great. Of course, that comes with some challenges as well in order to cope with that demand, but it's good news, of course. Better to have that traffic than not. But most of them, especially we say August has been really, very strong month for most of them in the commercial. In the airports that we manage that are mostly corporate aviation, general aviation, the demand has been steady. I mean, even through the pandemic and growing even through the pandemic on that traffic segment. So that has been really something that we see that it's growing, but it's been steadier and more like, continuous growth rather than peaky growth as it happens with the passenger and commercial traffic.
Fantastic. So you've experienced some of these bottlenecks and problems that airports around the world have been experiencing. The summer of discontent.
Yes. We've been lucky that the discontinuity has not been really bad in a way that we've been able to manage and to make the most of the infrastructure that we have and the resources and the facilities that we have in cooperation with the airlines, with the stakeholders. We've made it work. It's been challenging. There have been capacity issues as well, and management of additional parking resources, additional information to the traveling public, and additional coordination with the stakeholders. Especially when you put like an environment that there is more demand and more traffic, and then things happen and there are discontinuities, there are delays, there are cancellations. Those are like the key points where things can go wrong very quickly. So we keep, the training and the experience from the team really high, so they are able to follow the procedures without feeling that they don't know what to do. They can follow the procedure. We have procedures for regular operations. We have procedures and training as well that are focused on those aspects, and that's been very helpful for us.
Fantastic. And what are some of the challenges that small to medium-sized airports face that maybe larger airports don't?
Well, I think the number one challenge is resources, both human and financial. So as you know, and it's no secret for small, medium-sized airports, there is really a point in the break-even financially that is difficult to reach. We're trying to be more efficient and to make sure that there is enough flexibility in the budgets, so then we can really provide the resources that are necessary. But it's always difficult to make that happen. And also, as well, the ability to grow or to provide additional capacity. That's always a challenge. Usually spaces that are very constrained are very small, but then suddenly there is demand, and then you need to meet that demand right at that time. And sometimes we don't have time to build, a new expansion, a new gate, and we have to come up with some sort of, innovation opportunities. And for instance, in New Haven, we had to build very quickly additional capacity, and we had to use prefabricated containers like trailers in order to make room available, because there was no time to really bring that capacity in a conventional setup. So make it work, but it's always a challenge.
How long did that take then with the prefabricated expansion?
Well, actually, it was like a record time. We could put together 3 new gates and a whole new area of check-in and backdrop of 6 positions in 1 month. So
wow, that is fantastic.
That was very fast. It was very, I would say, unique situation because, of course, throughout the pandemic, the airport in New Haven had lost traffic to the point that one of the airlines there that had been operating for a long time, they announced that they were going to stop traffic completely. But at the same time, there was a new airline that was coming. They wanted to start operations at a fixed day, and that gave us that window of not having any operation there at the airport that allowed us to really put things in motion very quickly. Because otherwise, if we had to keep the airport running for some flights and then manage the construction at the same time, it would have taken more time. But in a way, I mean, it was not good news to lose that airline. On the other hand, that enabled us to move very fast to provide the additional capacity for the new airline to start operating.
Window of opportunity.
Exactly.
Now, how are you promoting operational efficiency, and have you done any restructuring to lower cost bases? Like that?
Yeah, well, for us, I mean, key for operational efficiency is what we do with data, how we can measure, and how we become more aware of the operation, and not just from what we do, but also from the point of view of the stakeholders, the customers, and just trying to understand better what are those key areas of the operation and how we can improve those ones. So we've started a project almost a year ago in order to be able to collect data in a more standardized way, and then to start doing dashboards and tools and structures to help our employees and stakeholders understand the operation better and improve, and as well as giving us the capacity and the ability to report to the different parties and to be transparent and to be honest as well with ourselves, not just to manage by feelings, but to manage by facts. So that for us has been like the key, at least to start, trying to improve that efficiency by understanding better what's the real performance of the vehicle. And of course, it's sometimes small steps to create that baseline, and then now we try to move to the next stage, is to improve that granularity of the data, try to make more meaningful analysis on the key aspects, and really as well slice and see how things start having meaning by correlation or by other statistical significance. So that's what we're trying to do. It takes time, but it's fascinating. So,
making more data-informed decisions. Now, the Tweed New Haven Airport Authority recently approved a 43-year lease and management agreement with Avports, opening the door for a $100 million airport expansion. So that's really exciting. What's actually in store?
Well, that's really, for us, one of the most important projects that we have right now. It's been something that we've been cooperating and partnering with the authority for a long time, with both New Haven entities, our partners in the authority. Is something we've been operating for a long time. There as an operator under contract management with the authority. We saw that there was the opportunity and the potential to bring the private capital into bringing the airport to the next step and provided the ability and the flexibility for the funding of a new facility that would then allow the airport to grow. And together as well with a runway expansion and extension that will make it safer and more easier as well to operate for different airlines with different aircraft sizes and maximize that. So it's something that from the beginning we committed to focus on sustainability, reduce zero emissions over time in that terminal. So when we started putting together a design team one of the key criteria there was to really bring know-how and expertise to make that building as efficient and sustainable as possible, and also all the operation around the airport, starting with the vehicle fleets, starting as well following with the utilities and the way of generating, heating and cooling, and all the different, energy-related consumptions, even taking a look at on-site generation of power, solar panels, and whatever means. That's for us key in order to provide that value to the community and to make sure that we're going to bring additional value for the stakeholders, for the communities, and as well to provide a better environment and a better place for all the different companies and the industry to grow there.
I want to touch upon what you said about community. Now, it's really important to get the community on board. I read that there maybe was a bit of resistance from the airport's neighbours, so I was just wondering how you actually handle this.
Well, it's really constant communication. It's really opening the door to all the questions, all the concerns, and the ability to provide that transparency and to really provide a way for the community and the public to understand, to learn, to know the facts, and to really participate in the process. Not to feel that they are imposed or given something, but to feel that they have the right to know and to understand, and as well to participate and see what's the value for them as well. So it's been one of the key areas of focus for us as well. We had a team just focused on community relations, on listening, meeting, and having extensive conversations with the different community players, even to commit to a program to really make sure that we understand that if there are ways of reducing potential impacts that we can already provide an assistance to the neighbours of the airport. We want to be a good neighbour. It's the way we can as well grow, and we can make that value to be something that people can be proud of, to be part of, to have additional opportunities to work, to have additional places where they can go and travel, and really just understand better as well what are the sources of concern and the sources of potential stress, so then we can bring that sort of view and factor and facts in order to make conversations. So it's been, of course, sometimes ups and downs, and some conversations are more difficult than others. But in the end, we have to live together. We are, neighbours, and we have that commitment as well to really make sure that the airport is there for the benefit of the community and for everybody's value.
Now, Avports has signed a MOU with Jaunt Air Mobility to join their Access Skyways Infrastructure Alliance. This alliance supports the integration of electrical vertical takeoff and landing, which is really exciting. Can you tell me more about this and how significant it is?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we as Avports are really promoting and being part of is the development of new opportunities for aviation. And we believe that electric aviation in general, and then taking a look at urban air mobility, advanced air mobility, and all different trends, it's something that has a unique value proposition for regional airports and small airports to provide that infrastructure in order for these players to start operating and to have business cases and use cases to develop that new way of moving and new transportation. So, since long time, I would say 5 years ago, we've been really understanding and getting to learn better the different players, the technologies, and with particular focus on the infrastructure needs. In particular, power requirements for battery, taking a look as well at potential uses of hydrogen fuel cells that some of the manufacturers are taking a look at and how we can integrate those in the airport environment, and really to provide as well areas that can be already defined in the master plans in order to make that infrastructure ready for electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft or electric aircraft and for these regional air mobility concepts. So in order to do that, then we started really communicating to a lot of different players, and then we were really impressed by Jaunt Air Mobility, by their way of approaching the aircraft design, by the way of as well coordinating with stakeholders to say, well, as Jaunt Air Mobility, they told us we are not going to be able to do everything. We are not experts in everything. We are experts in building an aircraft, designing the aircraft, but we would like to have partners that can help us to build the ecosystem. So partners that can help with battery supply, partners that can help with some of the other elements of design, and parties like us that can help with the ground operations and the infrastructure operation. So we had a conversation with like-minded approach, very pragmatic as well, really with feet on the ground, saying, well, really believing in the technology and the potential, but really having a very reasonable time frame. Going step by step as well. Not trying to go too far, too quickly, but just making sure that there was a good foundation. So we saw them as a very good example for us of a company that was like-minded and we wanted to partner and to be closer and to help, so then we can understand better what are their requirements and we can adapt their requirements into the existing building environment and some of the airports that we operate and other airports that might be willing to take a look at integrating electric vertical takeoff and landing. So cooperation is really working very well. It's very fluid. We've been part of different workshops, different initiatives together, working as well in finding some of those areas and those requirements in some of the locations where we operate at. So it's really very exciting as well.
So which airports do you think will be first to house electrical vertical takeoff infrastructure and see the first flying taxis, do you think?
Well, it's difficult to say. Many players are taking a look at areas and places where the climate, the environment is to be more stable, and that can include variables that can make it more difficult, like winter operations and others. So we've seen that, especially in the US, it tends to be more towards the south, some of the south states that are embracing it more in terms of starting that planning. In some cases, even at the state level, like in California, like in Florida, we've seen some of those trends already happening. In our case, most of our operations are in the north of the US, especially in the northeast. That's another reason why we really got close to Jaunt Air Mobility, because they were redesigning with an operating envelope that was including cold weather, was including as well snow, and it's something that in the airports where we are at, I believe that will happen. But it's difficult to say now. There are many airports throughout the world, not just in the US, that are trying to get ready. I don't know which will be the first one. We've seen already, it was very interesting for electric aircraft as well, fixed-wing electric aircraft, and that's as well picking up. And there are some examples that for eVTOLs, it will really depend on many factors. At least what we're trying to do and to offer to customers and stakeholders is that we really want the airports where we are at to offer that readiness, so they can embrace being ready and go to these partners and say, hey, if you're thinking of developing a business case for your traffic, for your aircraft, we are ready. Come here and join us, because we have already space for you. We have already charging facility. We have already the power, the utilities, everything that you need. It's just here for you to embrace and to use it. So come to us. That's a little bit our approach. So we believe that can be a way of motivating and incentivizing people and companies to join.
Sounds very exciting, and I look forward to seeing any developments on that front.
Thank you.
Now, Avports also specialise in public-private partnerships. Do you have any developments in this area to share? Because I know they're slightly less common in the US, aren't they, than other places like South America, for example. So, do you have any news to share with us on that one?
Well, yeah, I think the perfect example for that will be the Tweed in New Haven. That's really a model for us for public-private partnership for a regional airport. That it's something, as you said, in the US, it's been the first one for that size and for that environment that has really materialized. It's not easy. It's something that, as you said, in other regions of the world is much more common. But we know that in the United States there are trends and peculiarities and the way the stakeholders have worked historically. It's something that takes more time and takes like a learning curve and more effort in communicating and aligning all the different, share of risk and all the different understandings and agreements. But it's something that with the New Haven project, at least we have already like a blueprint of how it can work, how it has worked for New Haven, and something that can be a model that can be replicated. Of course, it's not going to be the same. There are different peculiarities in different places, but at least it's a reference that is very important. We've seen that in some other countries, the most difficult one was the first one, but then when that example was there, others would see like, wow, I see that it can work, it is successful. There is value there. There is something that can, bring more attention to that, especially in the US. So I think that's like the perfect example. There are some, of course, airports and municipalities, counties, authorities that are interested. There have been many attempts over the years, well, for different, E3s in the US.
Failed attempts, or?
I would say not failed, but maybe just, that they have sort of got into standby mode. Okay. Maybe needed a bit more time, maybe it was too early, maybe it was too premature, for different reasons. Yeah. But maybe, this is the time where we can see, hey, with the experience that we get and with experience from other parts of the world, let's see those places where this can add value and provide just that opportunity and that ability. So revisit those cases and make sure that at least it's an option that can be considered. We believe that it would be very interesting, in particular, to really, raise a little bit that capacity and that level for small regional airports as well, to have new infrastructure better suited to the current and future requirements of customers and the travel market.
Yeah, unlocks a lot of opportunities. And it might be a watershed. The rest of the US, if they see this go well. So
absolutely, that's what we've been. So we're very excited about that as well.
Great. Final question for you is, what is your business outlook for the future and 2023? What are you most looking forward to?
Well, we're looking to grow. We're really working in several projects now that will, expand our operation. We're actually, close to start operating in some locations as well out of the United States, in the Caribbean, and we're taking a look as well at Latin America and other regions. So that's one of the key areas for us for next year. But in particular, I would say as well that for next year, key goals, we've been focusing over the last 2 years a lot of our efforts in ESG, environmental, social, and governance. And we're turning as well, as I was telling you, some of the data repositories and collection in order to help and support those ESG initiatives. So focusing on those and really seeing all those metrics taking off and being more transparent in that area, that's going to be one of our key areas as well for 2023. So that growth and to bring more value into the ESG initiatives of the company.
Arturo, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.